one of the things that makes us need to move along is I forgot to take allergy medication this morning. I mentioned on the way here, and then someone thought for fun they'd put bales of hay out in there, and so I've been like bad all the way through. So we got to get this moving along. In verse 20, he tells us, keep your father's commandments, forsake not your mother's teachings. Bind them on your heart always. Tie them around your neck. When you walk, they will lead you. When you lie down, they will watch over you. And when you awake, they will talk with you. For the commandment is a lamp, and the teaching a light, and the reproofs of discipline are the way of life, to preserve you from the evil woman, from the smooth tongue of the adulteress. Do not desire her beauty in your heart, and do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. For the price of a prostitute is only a loaf of bread. But a married woman hunts down her precious life. Can a man carry fire next to his chest and his clothes not be burned? Or can one walk on hot coals and his feet not be scorched? So is he who goes into his neighbor's wife. None who touches her will go unpunished. And go down a little bit into verse 32. He who commits adultery lacks sense. He who does it destroys himself. He will get wounds and dishonor, and his disgrace will not be wiped away. For jealousy makes a man furious, and he will not spare when he takes revenge. He will accept no compensation. He will refuse, though you multiply gifts. Not only did Solomon tell us how it should be, he tells us what it looks like when we make the wrong decision. And he wants us to understand that we can trade all of that great stuff. But when we trade it, we automatically choose destruction. Look what he said. The man who commits adultery lacks what? It's the stupidest decision ever. It's as dumb as the decision that Adam made in the garden, right? Because isn't that the analogy? God said, Adam, Eve, got a great place for you to live. It overlooks some rivers. It's got a lot of stuff growing on it. You are going to love this place. One deal, stay away from this one tree. See those other thousands of trees? They're all yours. Go for it. This one tree, stay away. And that's what he said to us. Hey, I've got this great opportunity for you. And when you're in this relationship, stay there. There's so much beauty to be had. There's so much love to be shared. There is so much of a way for you to come together and grow closer together as you grow closer to me. It's there for you. Enjoy it. Be a part of it. Grow out that love for the rest of your life as long as you can stay together in this life. Do it and enjoy each other and have that relationship. Only don't do this. Why? Why were they told to stay away from the tree? It's all right, you can talk to me. I won't. Why were Adam and Eve said don't go near the tree? What would it do to them if they went near the tree? Right. It's going to kill you. Don't do stuff that'll kill you. Why is Solomon telling his sons to stay away from the strange woman? To stay away from adultery? To stay away from sexual sin? Why is he telling them that? Why? It'll destroy you. There's no other way around it. There's no way to take this fire and hold it to you and walk away not burned. There's no way to take your feet and walk on those hot coals and not walk and not get feet that are scorched. It will kill you. Stay away. Do this. Enjoy this. Love this. Embrace this. Don't do what's going to hurt you. Because that's what it does. That's what adultery does. if our one flesh relationship binds us together so that we don't see where one starts and one stops and the other begins, adultery is the acid we pour on the bonds that starts loosening that. That leaves us marred with scars and pain and hurt. And though God brings healing, it's still there. God doesn't want that for you. God doesn't want that for us. God doesn't want that for your kids. God's got something better for you than all that. And he's calling out to you to realize that there is a wrong way to get involved in this. And he illustrates it in chapter 7. I want to look at that illustration. We're going to get intensely practical for a few minutes, and then we're going to go. Does that make sense? In chapter 7, he again talks about the adulteress. He's talking to his son. My son, keep my words and treasure up my commandments with you. Keep my commandments and what? All right. So jump down to verse 6. For at the window of my house I have looked through my lattice, and I have seen among the simple, I have perceived among the youths a young man lacking sense, passing along the street near her corner, taking the road to her house in the twilight, in the evening, at the time of night and darkness. And behold, the woman meets him dressed as a prostitute, wily of heart. She is loud and wayward. Her feet do not stay at home. Now in the street, now in the market, and at every corner she lies in wait. She seizes him and kisses him, and with bold face she says to him, I had to offer sacrifices, and today I have paid my vow. So now I have come out to meet you, to seek you eagerly, and I have found you. I have spread my couch with coverings, colored linens from Egyptian linen. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love till morning. And she goes on to say that her husband's away. If you look in verse 21, and with much seductive speech she persuades him. With her smooth talk she compels him. All at once he follows her. As an ox goes to the slaughter, as a stag is caught fast till the arrow pierces its liver, as the bird rushes into a snare, he does not know that it will cost him his life. So here's the illustration. Here's what I think you have to know. Evil is hunting you. Notice in our story here, she doesn't just stay at home, right, and wait for you to find her. What does she do? She goes out. Evil is hunting you. Evil is hunting your spouse. Evil is hunting your children. Evil never rests. It is out looking all the time. Daytime, nighttime, in the morning, in the evening. If you are out, it is out, and it is looking for you. You have to understand that. You have to be wary of that. 2, evil is great at sales. Right? What does she say? Does she really lie to him? What does she say? This is going to be fun. Is that necessarily a lie? No, of course not. If it wasn't fun, there'd be no temptation, right? She comes out and finds him and says, this is going to be great. And what else does she say? Essentially, no one's ever going to know. You can do this. Look, it's already dark outside. No not going to come back. It's okay. No one's ever going to find out. Come on. And because he isn't the sharpest knife in the drawer, he believes it. Right? But he doesn't know it's going to cost him his life. Because evil never tells you the price tag. It never does. It always knows how to put out all the benefits and never talks about any of the what it's going to cost. Never talks about all the destruction. She comes out and she says, look at how great this is. You're going to enjoy this. This is going to be great. And then in the morning you'll go home and no one will be the wiser, not knowing that he's going to get ensnared like the deer and the arrow will pierce his liver and it will be over. Because that's how evil is. That's what it does. But it's a lie. It's an absolute lie. But it's what we face. It's what's out there. A couple of things to learn as we look at this. This is the intensely practical part, if you will. How do we build our lives if we're single, if we're married, if we're divorced, if we're widows, where this isn't the thing that destroys us? How do we do that? One is we have to develop an intensely biblical worldview. Every time in all of these chapters that Solomon starts talking to his kids, what does he start with? Commandments, wisdom, write them on your forehead, put them on your fingers, get that wisdom in front of you all the time. If you will, let's take it to a little more modern day. Keeping the word and the truth in front of us are the eyeglasses that let us see error from truth. That let us look beyond the benefits and see the destruction. And it's not just that I have got all my Awana ribbons, right? And I know all the verses. Because unfortunately, we could all probably sit and share stories of churches we've been in and pastors we've known and church leaders that we've been around that could go ahead and list all the verses out, right? And they could tell us why we shouldn't do everything we shouldn't do, and yet got ensnared in the same trap. It can't just be that it's in our head. It's got to be in our life. That's the picture of write it on your forehead, write it on your fingers. You can't look down without living in the truth. We've got to live in that truth. We've got to develop that worldview. Secondly, we've got to be able to discern the lie. Because sometimes the lie is this: no one's going to know and it's going to be okay. Sometimes the lie is this. That comes from a completely different angle. Well, here's your choices. You can have an exciting, fulfilling sex life, or you can go home to your wife. It's a lie. What did God build? Remember in chapter 5, he built a place where you can be filled and refreshed and blessed and happy and have all of that. It's not the decision between exciting and boring. It's the decision between exciting and refreshing and fulfilling, or death and destruction and pain. We've got to be able to discern the truth, not to buy into the lie. And lastly, for our intensely practical purposes here. We have to develop a view that protects us and our family. Guys, you can be that one that ignores her, that, has a conversation and touches and around her when you want her to perform something for you. You can be the one who is emotionally distant but always is there when you've got a need or desire. You can be that guy. But you need to remember something. Evil is hunting for your wife. It's looking out for her. It's trying to find her. We're told in Proverbs 27:7 that the full soul, he who's full loathes the honey. But the he who's empty, everything bitter is sweet. So ask yourself a question. When evil finds your wife, she is bound by all that is holy to stay and to be able to stand up to that temptation and to be able to take that truth and say, I am going to stay true to my God, and I'm going to stay true to my family, and I'm going to stay true to my husband. She is honor and duty bound by Christ to do that. My question to you, husbands, is when evil finds her, do you want her soul to be full, where she loathes the honeycomb? Or do you want her to be empty? So that sounds a lot better. Ladies, you can be the woman who feels that her Holy Spirit gift is to make sure her husband's ego is in check. You can be distant. You can be, unapproachable. You can build walls. You can have that. But evil is hunting for your husband. And when it finds him, he is duty-bound before God to stay in the bonds of your marriage and to be truthful to the commitments he made to you at the front of a church. But when it finds him, and it will find him, look, she's at every corner. She is in the marketplace. She's every place it can be. When it finds him, would you rather his soul be full and loathe the honey, or be empty? Evil is hunting for your children. It's trying to find a place and a time where they can look and give in to sexual sin and perversion. Evil has built industries built up around finding your kids and making sure that they do not enter their marriage relationship pure. It's hunting them. And when it finds them, they are duty-bound before God to say no. Moms and dads, do you want to have modeled a relationship for them that says, yeah, you know what, we've had some things that are tough. You know what, we've had some things that I've had to apologize and I've had to do things, but you know what, son, I can look at you and say that your mom is worth it and I have my energy invested here. Mom, do you want to be able to look at your kids and say, you know what, we've had rough times. Your dad's a hero. And I'm invested in him. And I can tell you, daughter, A man like that is worth it. You wait for him. And not seem like one that mocks? We have to develop this understanding. If we're going to get through this unscathed, that evil hunts us. And there is no excuse for giving in. None. But we do this together, right? We can't get to chapter 5 by ourselves. We can't be, mutually intoxicated in each other and filling each other's lives with all of that stuff and one person be doing it alone. We are going to take this truth and live it out. We've got to take the truth and live it out in such a way that we develop a biblical mindset, that we know what's right, and we know why it's right, and we know that when I make a decision to be faithful and to be true and to not let my mind wander to places where it's not, because in every one of these instances, that's where it starts. A desire that's out of the control. Every one of these here in these 3 chapters in Proverbs gets to a place where someone wants something that is not right and they keep holding on to that want. We can be the people that think, I can handle that and not bring it in myself and be blessed. It's not true. You've got to develop that biblical mindset. You know what? We have to realize that evil is out hunting us. We can't take the day off. We can't say, I don't need so much that spiritual armor today. Evil is looking for the chance. We have to develop a mindset where we protect those around us. We stand for our families. I'm going to ask the praise team to come up. This is not, a come forward message, right? But I ask you to do this. I ask you to today commit. Again, if you're married, verbally to that spouse. You have to do it right now. Find them today. And remind them how much you love and appreciate them. Tell them you realize that evil hunts them and that you care. Your parents, talk to your kids. And say there's a whole world full of things that are exciting and things that might take your view off of what God would have for you. And for the moment, they sure seem worth it. They're not worth it. And if you're single, and all of the spectrum that single means, simply take a moment. Say, Lord, I realize you only want what's best for me. And I realize that if I go ahead of or outside of your plan for my life, that I am inviting destruction in. And I commit to you. It's adultery. It's not fun. It's not something that we love talking about. God wants so much for us. Has given us so much. And he wants to keep us from hurt. Commit to that truth. Put it in your life. Bind it on your fingers. Tie it on your forehead. Never forget it. It's the decision